Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm disappointed the majority's drafted this $1.9 trillion package behind closed doors with no input from Republicans. Mr. Chairman, I'm proud of the bipartisan work we've done together over the years, and I offer this amendment in that spirit. My amendment will provide $1 billion to vaccinate teachers. Across the country, our children's education has been suffering while schools have been closed. We have 2 vaccines with emergency approval and several more promising candidates in the pipeline. Working in a bipartisan way, Congress has borrowed and spent over $50 billion to develop vaccines and over $15 billion to distribute approved vaccines. To date, we have over 65 million doses of vaccines distributed to states and almost 45 million vaccines already in arms. It's time for us to prioritize teachers and provide states with the resources to ensure our teachers are vaccinated so that they can get back to work safely, educating our children in the classroom. Our children are suffering. Keeping children in the virtual classroom instead of the actual classroom has had a devastating impact on their mental health. The CDC reported in November that a higher proportion of children's emergency room visits since mid-March have been related to mental health struggles, more than was the case in 2019. We've all seen the reports. Child suicide attempts are up. Childhood obesity is on the rise. It may be years before we completely understand the impacts of this COVID shutdown on our children. Let's vaccinate our teachers, get our students in the classroom, and get them back on the right track. This package that we're rushing through includes a lot of wasteful spending that could instead go to helping our efforts to vaccinate teachers and the public in general. For example, tax cuts for the rich in states with high state and local tax rates. Or another example, under this legislation, California is going to receive $41 billion for state and local assistance. Now, despite my colleague from Florida's assertion earlier in this markup, the California's governor announced just a week ago on TikTok that they added $10 billion more to the already $15 billion budget surplus. That's a $25 billion budget surplus. Why is the federal government going to borrow more money so we can give it to California? Instead, we should be using this money to vaccinate teachers and get our children back in school. In North Carolina, our governor has announced teachers will be eligible for a vaccine starting February 24th. This is welcome news after a difficult year for our students and our educators. With the money from my amendment, states like North Carolina will get the resources they need to vaccinate our teachers as quickly as possible. And Mr. Chairman, I know the argument will be made that, again, we can't do anything to amend this bill. But there's plenty of time between this markup today and even tomorrow until this bill comes to the floor, almost 2 weeks from now, to make adjustments to this bill so that we stay within the rules and the framework of reconciliation. I ask my Democrat colleagues, let's put aside partisanship. Let's send a message to our teachers that we hear you, that we value you, and we will make you a priority. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And with that, I'll yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Hudson.